Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm bringing back a series that I did around this time last year, and unfortunately that series just kind of trickled out due to time and things like that, but I want to bring it back, and that series is Discussing Dead. This is a show where I talk about The Walking Dead and I review the latest episodes, and in today's video I want to be breaking down and reviewing The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 15, otherwise entitled The Tower, and if you have not seen this episode, make sure you have done before watching this review because there will be spoilers within it. So with all that out of the way and all that said, let's jump into the review. So just to give my quick general thoughts on Season 10 of The Walking Dead so far, I will do a full season review of course when the season ends. Obviously episode 16 is still a long way off yet because of the coronavirus and the delay and everything like that, so unfortunately the season finale has been delayed quite significantly, but when we do get episode 16 I will do a full season review. But my thoughts on Season 10 so far, I think it's been very strong. I think the first half was a little slow, but I think that was very much intentional because they were really building up to this really action heavy kind of back half where all these big things are happening, and you know, everything with Alpha and Beta and the Whisperer War, it was all really building and concluding in this sort of back half of Season 10, because they really are pacing and wrapping up this Whisper story quite quickly, which I do enjoy. So I think Season 10 has been a great season overall. I really enjoy it. Like I said, I do think it was a bit slow in the first half, but the second half has really kicked off and it's been fantastic to watch. So I want to start off this review by talking about the princess. Now the princess was teased at the end of the last episode. We saw her basically approach Ezekiel, Yumiko and Eugene as they approach this sort of city heading towards the meeting with Stephanie, and this was really interesting because the princess is a rather controversial character from the comics. She's a character that a lot of people aren't exactly a huge fan of, but when I heard she was coming to the show I was quite excited because I thought to myself, well, as someone who doesn't really know the comics, I have a lot of knowledge of the comics, even though I've not read it myself necessarily. I just have a lot of knowledge of the comics and the storylines and the characters and stuff. I knew that the princess was a very controversial character, and I was excited to see how they were going to handle her on the show, because the big complaint about her in the comics is that she's very annoying, and that she's a very kind of inconsequential character who comes in for no reason and is just an incredibly annoying character who serves no purpose. So I was kind of excited to see how they were going to handle her on the show, and I have to say, I love the princess. I think she's great. I think she's so much fun. She just brings so much light and levity to the series, which, you know, at this point in The Walking Dead, like, it's such a dark and depressing world, and, you know, Season 9, and particularly Season 10, has been a really dark season. It's really nice to have a character like the princess come in and really lighten things up a little bit, like, not only visually, because obviously her character was a big, you know, fluffy pink coat and she has all these bright colours, but her personality is also incredibly bright and fun and wondrous, and she has this kind of just charm to her that, you know, I think maybe the comic counterpart was perhaps lacking, according to some people. You know, maybe she was lacking, like, the reason why maybe people don't like her in the comics is because she was lacking this sense of charm about her. But the version on TV, this version played by Paola Lazaro, is just really, really charming, and I think she just came across really nice. And I think, you know, when you go through this episode with her, and, you know, she's kind of, you know, Yumiko just doesn't trust her at all, and Ezekiel and Eugene are a bit, you know, easier on her, but when you kind of get to that last bit and, you know, they go through the minefield and stuff like that, and then they just don't trust her at all, and then you find out at the end of the episode that she's like, oh, you know, I've been on my own for a year, I'm kind of going insane, I didn't even know if you were real, and, you know, I lied because I thought if I told you otherwise, then you wouldn't follow me, and then I wouldn't have friends. I thought maybe I could make friends with you and stuff like that. Like, she's just someone who's been on her own for so long that she's kind of willing to lie to make friends. And I love the moment where Eugene kind of goes up and is like, no, I understand, because obviously Eugene, when we first met him back in Season 5, he said that, you know, he knew how to find the cure and where to go to find the cure for the whole thing, and that was a complete lie. He only did it so he could get in with people like Abraham and Rosita and stuff like that, so he kind of related to her on that, and that was really nice. I think the princess is, you know, I'm kind of interested to see how other people find her as, you know, the next couple of days come on and people start talking about this episode, but I thought she was a great addition. I really enjoyed her presence, and hopefully she's not a short-lived character. Hopefully she continues on the show for a while. She should have a role within the New World Order arc and the Commonwealth arc, so I'm excited to see how that develops, but I'm really happy with her interpretation on the show so far. Now, Beta is, of course, in full revenge mode at the moment, coming after Alexandria after Negan, of course, beheaded Alpha, and this is Beta's time to shine. Like, Beta has kind of been waiting in the wings, like, for the last sort of year and a half. You know, in Season 9, he was pretty much a background character, and in this season, he's really stepped up, and now he's essentially, you know, what is the main villain of the series at the moment. and the way he's just commanding this Horde. Like, I found it interesting that we started this episode with the characters already left Alexandria, and he was already there in Alexandria with the Horde. I thought that was quite an interesting way to do it. I thought we were going to see, you know, maybe them react to it a little bit, because obviously all the characters have moved from Alexandria to this hospital, which they refer to as the Tower. So that was kind of interesting, but this Horde is just terrifying. Like, when you see it move, like how many there are, it is ridiculous. Like, there are so many zombies. I mean, we saw this last season when Alpha showed Daryl the Horde from the cliffside, and we saw how many there were, and it was absolutely insane. Like, this is something The Walking Dead has always done incredibly well, is the scale of how many walkers and extras they can have on screen at one time. And this is like the latest version of that, and it's absolutely insane. And Beta, like, Ryan Hurst is so terrifying as this character, because he's just so uncontrollably terrifying. Like, you don't know what he's going to do. And I think, especially from the end of the last episode, where we saw him actually skin Alpha's head, and now he's wearing a part of Alpha's face on his own. Like, this guy is committed to Alpha, and he is committed to getting revenge for her. He's coming after Daryl, he's coming after Negan, and it's just absolutely shocking, like, what he's doing, what he's willing to do, the way he's just stormed Alexandria, and now he's coming after the Tower. It just shows how much of a great villain Beta is, and, you know, we'll have to wait and see if he actually survives this season. I don't think he will. I think we're going to see him die in the season finale, and then obviously we're just going to, like, go forward with the Commonwealth arc for season 11, but God, what a great villain he's been. He's been absolutely outstanding, and just so, again, genuinely terrifying. Like, the Whisperers have been such a actually scary threat. Like, that's something The Walking Dead hasn't had for a while, is something that's genuinely scary. And the Whisperers have really brought that, and I think that a lot of that does come from Ryan Hurst and Beta, and of course Amanda Morton as Alpha as well. They have both been absolutely phenomenal villains, and I think that this Horde is really like the final nail in the coffin for Beta. And we did have Aaron and Alden also tracking this Horde, like they were basically keeping a track of it so they could, you know, report back to the Alexandrians as to where it is in the world and stuff like that. And this does actually end with them being surrounded and captured. Now, this is interesting because based on what we've seen from the promo photos and also the promo material for the next episode, which they released, Alden and Aaron do actually get out of this situation. So I know there was some speculation early on that perhaps these two or one of these two was going to die. I don't think it's going to happen anymore based on the fact that we have seen this new character pop up who's going to save them. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing. It's not really worth bringing up really, but yeah, they do get kind of captured and surrounded, but they are going to get out of the situation. We also got Daryl and Judith interacting in this episode, them two out in the wild by themselves, and this was weird because obviously a couple of episodes ago Judith found out that Rick is alive. Like Judith is the only person in the main group who knows that Rick is alive. Like, the only people who know are Michonne, who's obviously gone off to find him, and Virgil, who's going to come back next week, but he's still kind of off elsewhere. So Judith is the only person really who knows that Rick is alive. And I thought in this episode she was going to tell Daryl that Rick was alive, because this was the perfect setting for it. Like, this episode, not really a lot happened, so it was kind of a very quiet, setup heavy episode for the finale, and it was just them two on their own, her and Daryl, and I thought, why didn't she tell him? Like, it's really weird to me that they didn't go in that direction, because Judith, like, she's a little girl, like, they can't keep secrets. Like, as a kid, I couldn't keep secrets. No one can keep secrets as a kid. And it's such a big one, like her dad being alive. I just thought she'd tell him, and it's weird that she doesn't. Especially because I was determined that Daryl was going to find out Rick was alive this season, and then he can tell everybody else, but it just doesn't happen. Maybe it'll happen in the finale, who knows. I've seen people like, you know, Movie Idol, who's a great Walking Dead YouTuber, he mentioned the fact that obviously with Virgil coming back in the finale, you know, he also knows that Rick is alive, so maybe he will tell people. But based on the photos, he's going to Oceanside, so I don't really know where this is going to go. And I do find it strange that Judith didn't actually tell Daryl that Rick is alive. It feels like something that's something you would tell Daryl. I mean, she does have that dilemma in this episode where she's like, I don't want you to leave. So maybe she was worried that if she told him, he would go like Michonne and just would leave. But I don't know, I found it strange. I think she should have told him, but again, I'll trust Angela Kang. I'll see where they go with this. Also, the moments with Negan and Lydia were also great. I love these two characters, and seeing them interact was really nice because obviously Negan killed her mother, so, you know, they kind of have that moment, and I think they are kind of pushing this father-daughter relationship between Negan and Lydia, kind of like, you know, Daryl and Judith have kind of become that father-daughter relationship. I think Negan and Lydia are also going to have that same sort of thing, you know, the way he keeps telling her to hit him, you know, you need to let this anger out, I know you have this anger towards me, you need to let it out, and eventually it comes to her just constantly punching him in the chest and then just breaking down and crying, and Negan even starts crying, and I think this just shows Negan's evolution as a character. Again, Negan is just the best character on the show right now. The way he just has evolved as a character since he was a villain all the way up to now, where it's not redemption necessarily, but he is showing how he has changed, and it's just really nice to see, and these moments are really good. I can't wait to see where these two go going forward. And we also got a really nice moment with Carol and Kelly. Obviously, Carol does feel responsible for the potential death of Connie. And you know, Kelly, being Collie's sister, you know, she comes up to him, she comes up to Carol and says, you know, I'm not really angry about it. You know, I forgive you. You know, I've heard your stories. I know what you're about, and you know, and Kelly fully believes that Connie's actually still alive, so she isn't really angry about it. She's not upset about it. And she, you know, is actually perfectly fine with Carol. And it was a nice moment because these two haven't really had that moment together where they kind of address Connie's disappearance or potential death. So it was nice to have that. And, you know, I don't know if Connie actually will be alive. I think she will be. Like, I don't think you hide it for this long just to reveal she's dead. Like, I think, you know, if she was dead, probably Magna would have revealed it when she came back. So I don't think you hide it for this long and not have her alive. But obviously it is also difficult because Lauren Ridloff, who plays her, is, of course, in the Eternals. So that's why she's not been on the show. It's because she's been elsewhere filming. But I think she's alive. I do think Connie's alive, and I really hope she is, because Connie is a great character. Really good one for Daryl. Like, I love the little relationship between her and Daryl. It's really nice. So it was a nice moment to finally have sort of Kelly and Carol have that moment together. Now, in regards to the season finale, which is called A Certain Doom, this episode, of course, we don't know when it's coming out. They are basically done with it. Like, I know Angela Kang has basically said that they are basically near enough done. They just didn't get it quite finished, but when everything got shut down, they basically had like a week left of production. So basically, as soon as things are up and running again, the episode will be out basically within the next 2 weeks of that, like following on from that, because, again, as Angela Kang said, they're basically done. But I think episode 16 is just, it's all going to go down, because there was a lot of things that people were thinking was going to be in this episode, and it just didn't happen. Like, we thought we were going to get a big death, like the Tower. This episode was called The Tower. There's a very famous, like, Watchtower-based death that happens at this point in the comics with Gabriel. That didn't happen. So there's a lot of people thinking that that'll happen in the next episode. Also, the Horde actually going after... You know, the Horde is meant to go through Alexandria. That didn't happen in this. Instead, they're going after the hospital. So, you know, we're going to get a version of that, essentially, in the next episode. We've seen that based on the photos with Daryl and stuff like that. And also the Commonwealth. We're going to get the Commonwealth revealed in the next episode. Also, Maggie's coming back in the next episode as well. That's a huge thing. Maggie's coming back. Lauren Cohen is returning. So that's really cool as well. Like, she's making her first appearance in Season 9. She's finally coming back. So there's a lot going on in this series finale. There's a lot going down. So I think that this next episode, it's a big one to look out for. Unfortunately, we are on a long wait for it. And, you know, this episode did end slightly on a cliffhanger, but what can we do? Obviously, this is not how they planned it. This isn't how the world planned it. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's the way it's going to be. But overall, I thought that episode 15 was really good. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it, saying that not a lot happened. And yeah, I mean, not loads happened in this. It was a lot of setup. It was a lot of kind of waiting for the finale to happen. And to be honest, I don't think people would be complaining about it as much if if the finale was next week like originally planned, but because we have to wait that extended, you know, we're gonna have to wait a few months, it just feels a bit worse. It kind of feels like the season 6 finale in that way, but it's still a good episode. I thought it had a lot of good moments. I really love the princess. I think she's fantastic, and I really liked all the character moments in this, particularly with Negan and Lydia and Kelly and Carol. A lot of really good moments. Again, the only thing I didn't like was the fact that Judith didn't tell Daryl about Rick being alive. I think that was a weird choice, but again, I'll see where they go with it. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode, really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I think it is a really strong testament for how good The Walking Dead Season 10 has been. But what did you guys think about the episode? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of it, or did you find it a bit underwhelming? Whatever you thought, let me know your comments, or let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more TV reviews and TV-related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.